Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Thomas Droleskey. Some of you might remember me years ago as the Lone Ranger at Shea Stadium, off and on between 1976 and 2002. Of course, I had been going to ball games, starting at the Polo Grounds starting in July 15th, 1962, a doubleheader between the San Francisco Giants and the New York Mets. Those were the days when the Giants drew big crowds and the Dodgers drew very, very large crowds when they returned to New York after being away for 5 years, moving to the West Coast, and during the Mets' first season. And then the Mets moved to Shea Stadium in '64, and I was a regular there. And then in 1976, as what I thought was a one-day lark, donned the white hat and black mask for a variety of reasons explained in this wonderful new book here, Meeting the Mets, A Quirky History of a Quirky Team. And in 1976, on May 4th, as the Mets played the Cincinnati Reds, I donned a white hat and black mask and gave birth to an alter ego, a baseball novelty figure as they're called, that used to be rather known. They used to be known in the stands at Ebbets Field and elsewhere in the 20s and 30s and even into the 50s. Hilda Chester, her cowbell, the Catcher's Catch Can Symphony Band, and other characters. In Comiskey Park in Chicago, there was Andy the Clown, who would go, "No White Sox," with this big voluptuous nose. And the fans took to it at Shea when I started this on May 4th, 1976. And I kept it off and on between May 4th, 1976 and the time I walked out of Shea Stadium, for reasons somewhat described here in Volume 1 of my book, Meeting the Mets, A Quirky History of a Quirky Team, available on Kindle and Amazon Kindle, and also if you want additional information about ordering this book on a print-on-demand basis, please go to my website, www.meetingthemets.com. That is www.meetingthemets.com. This is a unique look at the first 25 seasons of the New York Mets, in that it presents memories of growing up in the 1950s in the New York City, Long Island metropolitan area that I'm sure would resonate with those who grew up in that same time. And I have a lot of parenthetical references, asides, and digressions, which is why I've called this a quirky history. And I think the unique aspect of this particular book is that it allows readers to go down memory lane and to recall with fondness the innocent days of going out to the ballpark, of when fans knew something of the English language other than letters that were other than four-letter things, and were civil and decent, that would cheer their team on, and they went home. They went about their business. Sports wasn't their life. And they were able to enjoy the camaraderie, the spirit of the team, and you had to enjoy the Mets for the pure sake of going to the games at the Polo Grounds and Shea Stadium, because they lost so much. 120 games out of 160 in 1962, and they had men who worked hard and who weren't guaranteed an income beyond one season. There were no multi-year contracts. And a lot of those men had to work in jobs during the off-season because they were paid a pittance by the owners in those days. They may be overpaid now, but they were paid a pittance then. And those who didn't play for 10 years had no pension. Now, those pensions in those days weren't that much to speak of. And so they were individuals the fans could relate to. All of that is recounted in the book, as well as some of the interesting games in the history of the Mets, the players that they've had during those first 25 seasons, as well as a few observations that are meant to challenge, but even those who may not agree with me on first and last things, on the ultimate end of human existence, to know, love, and serve God, as He has revealed Himself to us through His true church, the Catholic Church, have found this book to be a very interesting read. And I hope you will do so as well. Go to www.meetingthemets.com, where you will find information about this book, which has been very well received by readers so far, and it's a great gift to give at Christmas time. And or just for reading during the hot stove season. Before I close, if I can have one more minute of your time, I think we should all join in a rousing version of Meet the Mets, meet the Mets, step right up and greet the Mets, and bring your kiddies, bring your wife, guaranteed to have the time of your life, because the Mets are really sucking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the M-E-T-S Mets of New York Town. Oh, the butcher and the baker and the people in the streets, where do they go to meet the Mets? Oh, they're hollering, they're cheering, and they're jumping in their seats. Where do they go to meet the Mets? Oh, the fans are true to the orange and blue, so hurry up and come on down, 'cause we got ourselves a ball club, the Mets of New York Town. Give 'em a yell, give 'em a hand, and let them know you're rooting in the stands. I can't sing that loud because I'm in a library. Meet the Mets, step right up and greet the Mets. Oh, bring your kiddies, bring your wife, guaranteed to have the time of your life, because the Mets are really sucking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the M-E-T-S Mets of New York Town, of New York Town. Now, oh, you want another song? Well, how about Jay Jervis's Let's Go Mets? The New York Mets are on the way. Let's go Mets. 3 cheers for all the boys who play. Let's go Mets. Amazing as they are. I changed key. Each player is a star, the best in the land by far. They are. Let's go Mets. Let's root for the team that plays at Shea. This is terrible. Let's go Mets. The team that soon will have its day. Let's go Mets. Let's root as hard as we can. Hurrah for every fan. The New York Mets are on the way. The New York Mets are on the way. The New York Mets are on the way. Let's go Mets. The name of this book is Meeting the Mets, A Quirky History of a Quirky Team by Thomas A. Droleskey. www.meetingthemets.com. Amazon Kindle and print to demand. Information at www.meetingthemets.com. Adios. Hail Silver away. God bless you and Viva Cristo Rey.